So the boys and I hopped in the F350 here today to take it out and run some errands, and unfortunately my right front window here is not functioning. Now I went through, tested both my switches, all my other windows are working, so that tells me that I need to replace my window regulator, and I'm going to be doing that here today. Now when I went online, looked at all my local parts stores to get a replacement, they all pretty much carry the Dorman brand, and the part number on that one is 748181. Now each window, for example, your right front window has a different regulator than your driver's window or your left hand window, and I'll put a link to all those different regulators for you down below in the description. However, at my local parts store, that regulator ran about $120. When I got online, took a look at Amazon, I was able to get that same regulator for just $63. So do yourself a favor, save some money, and go ahead and order that one online. Now what I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you how to get your door panel off, how to get access in to get your window regulator out, get all that done, replace it, and get your window working again. Let's start with getting our door panel off. First thing you're going to want to do is remove this panel that's located up above your door panel itself, because your door panel is going to come up and this has to get out of the way. To remove this, you're just going to grab it with both hands and just pull straight out on it and give it a kind of a pull, and it pops out just like that. And you'll see it has two fasteners located here. They just go in the holes that are right there, and then that part's done. For the next part, what we want to do is remove our switch cover here that has our window and our door lock switch in it. And for that, I'm just using this little tool here. Funny enough, this is a tack removal tool, and it's just like a door panel tool, except it's much smaller, and I find it easier to actually use this to get inside these little areas. I'll put a link to one of these in the description. Now what you do have is you have a fastener located up here towards the front and a tab back on the back side that goes underneath here. So what you want to do is start up here on the front, lift it, and then pull it forward. And I'll just kind of work this in a bit and just gently lift up on it, just as you see there. Then pull forward. There you'll see that tab I was talking about. And then here is that locking tab that goes in the front right here, and this little tab goes up underneath your door panel. Now once you do that, all you have to do is remove these two electrical connectors and then set your control panel off to the side. Now at this point, what I'll do is I usually just tuck the electrical back in, because now we have a fastener that's located right here that we're going to have to remove, and then we have another fastener that's located down further in the door. Let me show you how to access that one. You have another fastener located behind this little panel right in here, and on this end you'll notice it has a little indentation. You can take a straight screwdriver, in this case I can just use my tool, and you'll push that in there and just lightly pull it out, and that removes this cover. Once you get to that, right down in here you have another fastener. Let's get those removed. Both of these fasteners are a 7mm. I just have my 7mm socket on here, and we'll go ahead and remove that. Your other fastener is located right up here behind your panel, and that is also a 7mm. Now that your two fasteners are removed, getting your door panel off is quite easy. You have hooks located along here that actually go in and hook into your door panel. So all you're going to want to do is just lift up on the door panel and pull it out. And what I'll do is I usually will grab it right down in here and put a hand up underneath here and just kind of lift up on it. See how easy that is? And then just pull this away. Now on some models down in here you actually have a courtesy light, and so when you go to remove this you will have some wiring connected here to the back side. My particular model doesn't have that, so I don't have to worry about that. However, if yours does, you'll have a light that's located in here. You'll just unplug that on the back side. So now we're going to set this off to the side and remove our splash panel here so we can get access to our regulator. Now we're going to go ahead and remove our splash shield here. Just be really careful as you do this. You don't want to tear it because we need to put this back on. These are a With your speaker out of the way, you now have access to your electrical connector, your pigtail that runs up here to your window regulator. And on the back side here, it has one of those tabs that you're going to press and then just pull down. And I'll just press that in, and that pulls off like that. And now you have the electrical disconnected from your regulator. Now, before I move on, I thought now would be a good time for me to take our replacement regulator out of the box and kind of hold it up here just to give you an idea perspective of what we're going to be dealing with here. Now, your window actually connects to this track right here. It comes down and you'll see it has a keyway here and a little slot in here. And there'll be some nuts on some studs down at the bottom of your window. I'll show you those here in a minute. And you'll loosen those up, and basically what you're going to do is just slide this forward and it releases from your window. Now, this crossbar that you see here that acts as another track as well, that is what you see going across right here. And these are a 10 millimeter. And we will undo those, but this is what's in here. Now, back up over here, this here has your motor and your gears, and you'll see these 4 areas right here. That's where these posts here are going to go through. Now, these are a keyway again, just the same as these here are, so you don't have to take these out all the way. All you have to do is loosen them up, and then you can slide the motor up and pop it out. Now, if you want to, you could take them out for your replacement. Here's our regulator. You can kind of see the back. And now the difference is on this replacement, it has a bit of a pigtail. So instead of plugging it directly into the motor, we're going to have this pigtail here. So we're going to tuck it back in under the way, out of the way, so it doesn't cause us any problems with our window motion. Once again, these 6 studs or fasteners in here are a 10 millimeter. I'm just going to loosen those up a bit. Now that I have that done, I want to take this support bracket here. I'm going to slide it forward and just kind of drop it down out of the way, just like that, and then just push it back in, and then that now is free. And we'll just let it kind of sit right like that. So now the next thing we're going to start doing is we want to get our regulator out. Now, in my case, by the way, my window is stuck in the up position. When it's stuck in the up position like that, what you are going to have to do is you are going to have to remove these bolts so that everything starts to drop down, so that you can have access to those bolts that hold it into the track. So what I have here is I brought out some masking tape. So once I get these finally taken out, I'm going to let that window come down a bit so I have access to those bolts, and then I'm going to put some masking tape here just on my window to hold it in position. Now you see how it dropped down right there? Now all of a sudden I have about 3 or 4 inches up top, so I do have a little bit more play in my window. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reach inside of here, and I'm just going to support that, and I'm just going to slowly release that out. I'm going to let that bolt drop for now because I only got one hand here, and I'm going to just keep an eye. I want to support my window, and I have my hand down here under the track, and right now it's come down and it's sitting in a real good position here, so I can actually get some tape out and I can show you where these nuts are that we're going to have to loosen up and move the track forward. Now, it's always best to have a helper to help hold your window for you and hold things in the perfect position to get access to everything, but as you can see, I don't have that, and you may not either. So here's a funny thing, I'll give you a trick. I took my hammer and I'm going to put it with the head down inside the door, and if you lift up on the glass through here, slide your hammer down in through here, you can rest the window on top of the hammer, and then that holds it up where I have access to the bolt. And funny enough, the other nut is going to be right in through this hole, but my motor is kind of a bit in the way here, so I took another one of these studs that helps secure it, and I'm just going to lift it up right in here, as you can see. And if I lift it up enough, one of those holes pops right back up in through here, and I can just put a few threads into it to hold it, and now it holds my motor up out of the way, and I have easy access to get to both of those nuts that secure the window to my regulator. So let's move in closer so you can get a better look. So as we come in, there's the one nut on the outside of the track, and then if we back out and we go over here to this access hole right here, right in there, there's your other 10 millimeter nut. So those are what we're going to loosen, and then just slide the track forward going this way, and then we'll be able to actually release the window from our regulator. Now I just have my 6-inch extension just so it gives me easy access, and I'm just going to loosen this up a bit. Now on to the front one. Now all we need to do is slide our track forward so it releases from those posts on the window. Now this part here can give you some hassle from time to time. What I'll do is I'll reach up and hold on to the window with the one hand, and we're just going to try and slide this forward. And this one's cooperating so far. That's nice. That doesn't happen too often. And just like that, you'll see we're almost all the way out here. Let me look at the front. We're looking good. And just like that, our front is free. And now we'll just free up the back here. And now our regulator is free. Now I'm going to just set it here on my hammer for a sec to show you our next step. Now I already have a few pieces of tape kind of set out here. We have some wind, so it's kind of blowing it around. So what I'm going to do now is just kind of lift my window up and then just secure it with a few pieces of tape, because I'm going to need it out of the way to get the old regulator out and put our new regulator in. With our window secured, and once again, I like to have like 6 pieces of tape up there. You know, for an extra 50 cents or $1, let's say, in tape, it's worth it to be sure that window isn't going to come loose and come flying down and either break your window or smash your hand where you got to go and have stitches or replace your window. It's silly not to spend $1 in tape to save you the time and hassle. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out my hammer that I was using there and set that off to the side. And now it's time for us to take our regulator out. Now I'm going to remove this little stud or this fastener that I had put in there before just to hold it while we did this. And now I can take this and I want to start to scissor it back up again, if you will, the best we can, just like that. And there we have it. And we'll go ahead and just start working it out. And you'll kind of just give it a twist, if you will. And there you have it. Our old regulator is now removed. We're going to go ahead and put our new regulator into the door. Now what I did, and I know these have the keyhole, but with a washer you have to be really exact to go through and slide it in. You can do it, but to save me a little bit of time and hassle as I'm doing it, I went ahead and took those nuts off on here. It just makes it easier sliding it in. And on this end I left one stud in here that's going to be up here in the top, and I took the other 3 out because when these are sticking out as you're trying to work in through there, they have a tendency to get caught on things and make it harder to do. So it's easier for me to just have this one. I can slide it in position. Once I have it there, I can kind of hold it and set these others in place, and it just makes the job a lot easier. So to go back in is just the reverse of the way we took it out. So now I had the motor kind of basically set right there in place, and it makes it easy for me. I can go ahead and I can come over here and I can line those up. And I'll just hold on to the back side here a little bit and just start to set these nuts in here for right now. They're just going to be barely snug. I just want to be able to put everything into position, and then we'll tighten it down once we have everything where we want it. Now that we have everything generally set in place, I have this track moved back in. It's in the keyholes. All 4 of these are secured. I'm just going to go ahead and tighten these up now so that way our regulator is now secured and in position. Now, before we go any further, I'm going to reach in here, I'm going to take my plug, I'm going to plug in our regulator, and we're going to give it a quick test here and make sure everything's working. And that's fantastic. So now we can move on to getting our window placed back onto the regulator and then start buttoning everything back up. Now before we go letting our window down to slide it in position, we want to make sure the track that our window actually secures to is down so that we have access to those nuts that are on the stud. Now in here, this is really open so it's easier to get to, but don't forget you have this little hole here that's your access to get into this front one. So what we want to do is lower that down so it lines up with this hole right here. And there we go. So now I can look right in through here. I'll have easy access to get to it, through back and through here, and so we're good to go. Now you have a good view of what I'm talking about. We have easy access to our back little keyway here, if you will. It's not really a key, but it's a little slot that we can slide those studs through, and then right up through here you can see our keyway. So now we can actually go ahead, we can lower our window down and start to put it in position. And I'm going to try and stay out of your way here. I'm going to remove this switch so I have fewer things in the way. I'm also going to unplug the window just to be safe. So now I'm going to release my tape from up top so that the window is loose. We can start sliding the window down, as you see right here. Now once the window gets down into here, you're going to support it with the one hand, but you want to just take that keyhole, and hopefully you'll get a good view of this, and I'm out of the way. You'll see how we're lined up towards the back here, and now we're going to push it in so it lines up here in the front, and hopefully you can see that. Now we're just going to push that track back that way so it lines up with the keyhole onto the studs, just like that. So now we're lined up back here, we're lined up here in the front. All we got to do now is tighten down those nuts on the studs, and then we're going to test it one more time just to make sure everything's still working properly. Perfect. Now that everything's working and our window's reinstalled, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just kind of clean off the dust that collects on these doors around this edge, so I eliminate any dust to try and keep my my waterproofing and my barrier from coming off of here. So I'm going to wipe this down real quick, and now we'll add our barrier and then put our door panel back on. When doing your final connection for the pigtail for your new regulator motor, what you're going to want to do is take your factory wiring harness. Because we have this extra room, we don't want it to interfere with the operation of the window. So take your factory wiring harness and then run it back up behind your factory harness that's right here through this opening, so it holds your wire up here along the door panel. I'm trying to do this with my hand out of the way. And you may run it around there once or twice just so it makes it a bit tighter. And then you'll want to keep that now when you plug it in. You'll want to keep that down towards the bottom and off to the side, because remember your speaker goes in through here as well. But now you can see I have that wrapped around. It comes down, it's out of the way of the track that's right here for our window. Now we can go ahead and reinstall our barrier, and I'll start by just putting it over our door lock here, and then what I'll do is I'll start lining up with these holes in here just so I have a general idea of where it goes, and then just start setting it into place. Now if it does give you some problems and it may not want to stick as well, then you may have to get a little tape in there, because you do want to install this back onto your vehicle. I think I may add a little bit of tape here and there just to make sure it's well secured, and then we'll go ahead and we'll put our speaker back in and put our door panel on. Now you're ready to go ahead and reinstall your door panel. Now what you want to do is on the back of your panel here, you'll see that you have these different hooks that run along the bottom and up the sides. And those will go inside these openings that you have here in your door, and they'll hook on those. So you're going to start high up and then just push it in so that those go into the hole and then down. Now as you set it in there, make sure and get your door lock knob there up and through the panel like you have here, and then you can just kind of set it. Now as you do this, here's another thing. Make sure you get your wiring harnesses for your window and your door locks clear so that you don't get your door panel all put on and have to take it back off again. So now that I have it roughly set in there, I'm going to work my way around, make sure those hooks get in the hole, and then just push down. Reinstall your fastener up here by your window switch. Reinstall your fastener at the bottom part of your door where your courtesy lamp is. Replace your cover. Now you have a tab here. This slides into the opening over here, and then just push this end in. Plug in your wiring harness for the window and for your door lock switch, and reinstall this. Now keep in mind, once again, you have this tab that slides in under here, and then this fastener gets pushed in up here at the front. So you'll just take it, slide it in, back like that so it catches, line it up front, press down. Reinstall this front trim panel. These two fasteners go into these two slots or openings right in there. Just line those up and press in. And just like that, you got your window regulator replaced and you got your window working again. Hey, I hope this video has been helpful for you. If it has, please do me a favor and hit that like button for me. It just lets YouTube know that y'all appreciate my content. If you'd like to see more videos like this one in the future, why don't you hit that subscribe button and stick around here with me. As always, I appreciate you stopping by, and thanks for watching.